welcome you to this great event. I offer you my most sincere congratulations and best wishes for what you have done here at the Citadel and what you're about to do as you go out to serve your communities and the nation. I extend a particularly warm greeting to the families of our graduates. I know that many of you traveled a great distance to be with us this morning. Each of you has made significant sacrifices over the past 4 years to enable your cadet to graduate. However, those are behind you, and this very special day, a day in your cadet may have thought would never come, has finally arrived. And congratulations to you all. At this time, it's my pleasure to ask Cadet John Gregory Hyatt, Senior Class President, to come forward to make remarks on behalf of the class of 2004.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the class of 2004, we're grateful you could be with us today as we close a very meaningful chapter of our lives and depart to face a new and exciting challenges. It is not easy standing here today being asked to speak about the class, because there are so many things we have accomplished and done, I cannot begin to list or describe them to you. And for most of the experience, it cannot be described in words. Over the year, I've wrestled with trying to catch all the different emotions that have made our time here at the Citadel so very special, and in the end, I'm left with so many emotions, it is impossible to pick the one that can explain what we are feeling today. I began asking around to see how others would explain their experience and tell me why they came and why they stayed. And that too was so very broad. It was not until Thursday night that I heard the most obvious and profound question of my cadet career. How did we graduate from the Citadel? The answer is we did nothing alone. We made it through the past 4 years because we had a strong family network. We entered these gates with one family back home, wishing us well, expecting great things, and offering many prayers. As we sit here this morning, we have a new family, a family of brothers and sisters who have developed into fine men and women ready for what the world has to offer. In talking about family, I would like to remind everybody of the sacrifice our parents and families have made so that we could have this opportunity. Though we struggled through that first year, it is clear that our parents struggled with us with every phone call of how we hated life and wished it would end. Since Mother's Day is tomorrow, I would like to share a story with you all. There are many days that I wanted to quit and head to Texas and attend a regular college because I thought this place was too hard and the people were just a little crazy. But I had two driving forces to stay. One was that my dad was an Aggie, and I was not going to quit and say I couldn't make it through a system. But the biggest reason I could never leave was that my mother graduated from college, raising 3 kids, the wife of a fighter pilot. I'm sure to this day I do not understand what a bad day is all about, but I do know that my mom is my rock, and I thank you for all the love and support you have given. As the years passed, leaving was less of an option, not because we didn't like this place or think that people were not as crazy. We just realized we were a family, and it's not easy to walk away from your family. Now we hide away from saying family with the word friends, but in the end, we all have brothers here. It's not easy to leave. As a military brat, I thought I would at least be able to handle this change in my life, but it is the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever had to do. I wish you all well and pray we'll all be back together soon. In closing, I need to offer a few thanks on behalf of the class of 2004. I'd like to thank the President for his time and effort. I would like to thank all the ladies of Jenkins Hall, Colonel Lackey for all the punishments, the Tax for keeping this place interesting, and Mace for just being Mace. I would like to thank a few people personally, Colonel Barton, Colonel Dorton, for all your support, Mr. Mike Rogers, who couldn't be here today, Colonel Lackey, you never did catch me, and Mrs. Keltner for quick motherly advice and encouragement through the years. Thanks to the class of 2004, you have made this experience wonderful, and I hope to see you all again in 5 years. Thanks to the Citadel family, the alumni, the cadets, and those of you who are associated with this family and love us so much. God bless you, and God bless the class of 2004.
It is a distinct privilege to be able to present this award to the cadet with the highest grade point average in the graduating class. Your first honor graduate is Cadet Patrick Riley. He is the son of Barb and Kevin Riley from Boston, New York. Let me tell you just a little bit about what he's done inside the classroom and outside. He's majored in computer science with a minor in management information systems. Next year, he's going to be attending Cornell University and pursuing a graduate degree in computer science. Outside of the classroom, he's found time to be the 1st Battalion Commander, a member of the Honors Program, the Round Table, the Honor Committee, and the 2004 Summer All Guards. Not only has he earned gold stars all 4 semesters, he's graduating with a perfect 4.0. Congratulations.
This award means so much, mainly because it comes from you, the class of 2004. And I, too, want to say congratulations to you on this your special day. I had some notes, but I'm going to change them a little bit to let you know where the ring came from. Kind of funny. The Citadel in 1910 was encamped in Greenwood, South Carolina for a couple of weeks. And the commencement was held in a Presbyterian church. And that's when Dr. John O. Wilson established the monies for this wonderful ring. I look at my own Sphinx, and I was trying to find out a little bit more about this ring. So I asked some of your classmates, what does it mean? And some of the classmates said, Colonel, what is it? Colonel, I think it has something to do with purity. It has a lot more than that. And I'd like to read just a quote from my 1952 Sphinx, because this ring was cherished almost as much as my class ring, which I received 50+ years ago, and I quote, "The awarding of the John O. Wilson ring is one of the greatest and most outstanding honors a Citadel cadet can receive. It is with deep emotion and respect that the senior class stands silently at commencement exercise when the ring is presented, a clear and unmistakable sign of how much the ring means to all cadets, and is a deep pride that I present to King Phillips. The young cadet that you have said is the finest, the purest, and the most courteous cadet in your class." Think of that. That's quite an honor because you're saying that to him. Thank you. One more thing that goes with the ring, that next year he has to write the 2005 recipient. And if I might, gentlemen, I'll read his letter. Thank you, sir. Dear King, congratulations on being chosen as a recipient of the John O. Wilson ring for the class of 2004. Today, your classmates have chosen to honor you for your accomplishments and service over the past 4 years. You have obviously earned the respect and trust of your classmates, and today the long gray line looks to you as well in anticipation of how you will continue to serve the name of the Citadel in the future. On this day, no higher honor can be given. The John O. Wilson ring was named for Dr. John Owens Wilson. He was a native of Goose Creek, South Carolina, and a member of the Citadel class of 1862. He left the Citadel before graduation due to the Civil War. He was a member of the illustrious cadet company during the Civil War. He later became an attorney and a minister. From 1894 to 1902, he was the editor of the Southern Christian Advocate. From 1904 until his death in 1923, he was president of Lander College. Throughout his successful career, he remained a humble and mild-mannered man. In 1911, Dr. Wilson provided a fund that would award a ring to each member of the senior class of the Citadel who was selected by ballot of the senior class to be the finest, purest, and the most courteous of the class. The ring was to be a bloodstone setting and inscribed with the words, purest, finest, and most courteous. Keen, you no doubt have had a rewarding and exciting year as a regimental commander. However, I am also sure that your year was at times difficult and disappointing. Over the next few years, you will find yourself thinking back to your time at the Citadel and reflection on your successes and failures. The ring you receive today is a testimony that those closest to you, your classmates, believe that your actions over the past 4 years helped to develop and preserve the integrity of the institution. You are a man who will serve your country, family, and alma mater in a way that will make all of us very proud. With my greatest respect, Robert Sturdy, John O. Wilson recipient, class of 2003. Thank you.
Will Cadet Major Meadows please join me on the platform as I read his citation. The Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award is bestowed upon Cadet Major Stephen Aaron Meadows. Possession of a well-rounded character and the vision and initiative to make a difference in the lives of others qualify Cadet Meadows of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, for the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award. Cadet Meadows exemplifies the concepts of thoughtfulness and service to others that this award celebrates. As a regimental religious officer, his ideas and efforts have had a positive influence on life at the Citadel and in the Charleston community. Cadet Meadows has worked to develop programs that foster cooperation among religious groups on campus. His efforts include the establishment of a cadet-led Christian worship service with contemporary music, ecumenical services each semester, a forum to encourage Jewish and Muslim cadets to discuss their religious beliefs and needs with the cadet religious officers, a retreat for Christian cadets of all denominations, and weekly sessions to help company religious representatives become more effective. Cadet Meadows has also led 2 annual drives to support Compassion International, a charitable organization that provides education, clothing, and health care to children in third world countries. The demands of majoring in physics and serving on the regimental staff would make most cadets reluctant to find time for additional off-campus service. Yet Cadet Meadows works each Sunday morning with the Seacoast Church in Mount Pleasant, assisting parishioners with audiovisual and other needs for services in 2 locations. He has also participated in local Habitat for Humanity projects. In recognition of his leadership, initiative, and service to humanity, the Citadel is proud to present the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award to Cadet Major Stephen Aaron Meadows. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving another warm welcome to our 2004 commencement speaker, the Honorable Mark Sanford, Governor of South Carolina.
Thank you very much, General. I would simply say to the 2004 Citadel graduating class, congratulations. Today is all about celebrating a milestone, and what I think you'll find in life is that there are a lot of different milestones, but in ways that you can't really appreciate right now, today is a very, very significant milestone. I'd go so far as to say it's really much more than something significant. It is something important, because education in the 21st century is absolutely key to your future success. And to walk into the world without a great education is the equivalent of sending a soldier out into the battlefield with simply a slingshot. What you've done is very, very important to your future success. It's also, though, as is always the case with a milestone, a chance to look back and simply say thank you. You think about the parents, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the friends that had so much to do with your reaching this moment. You need to make it a point to say thank you at some point today, tomorrow, the next day, because nobody gets anywhere alone in life. I would say, as well as saying thank you, you can prod them just a little bit and remind them that you've taken a giant step today toward their financial independence, and they owe you one. I'd as well, though, say it's a chance to look forward. You're leaving a relatively safe harbor here at the Citadel for uncharted waters, and it's as part of this larger context that I turned to the General and I said, what do you want me to say? He said, simply talk about something that you know something about. And what occurred to me, since the Corps is largely comprised of young men, although there are certainly some absolutely great female cadets, it's largely an institution of boys, of young men. I know something about boys. I know something about young men. In fact, our boys are with us right now. I don't know. Boys, would you all stand up? Wave to the cadets. Show them appropriate Anyway, there are our guys. Blakey has a cast. He's shaking it right now. And the one thing that I have been struck with in my wife and I's our journey of trying to raise boys is that they're very different animals. I've come to find the most remarkable things in a commode when we come home. The most amazing things in a sink or under a bed, and it's not just what they'll put in certain places around the house, it's the way that they react to you in the house. My wife and I had this tradition of trying to teach our boys a few life lessons there around the breakfast table. It's a great tradition, but just to watch their reactions there. Some months ago, we were having a lesson on things that were invisible but real. Things that you can't see, but things that are real nonetheless. For instance, germs, bacteria. You can't see it, but it's real. We're walking through this lesson. Bolton, that's why you don't want to pick up a cookie after it's been sitting on the ground. That's invisible but real, but it can impact you. Thought we'd maybe spend 15 minutes on this lesson, thought we were breaking through, and so I turned to Bolton and I said, "You got that?" He's a defiant little guy. He says, "Yes, sir." And you can tell by the look in his eyes, he really has no clue, but he's still going to say, "Yes, sir," anyway. And I say, "You got that?" He says, "Yes, sir." I said, "All right, then why then," there's a little test, "why then does a surgeon wear a surgical mask while he performs surgery?" And the defiant little guy, I'm looking at him right now, he looks back at me, and he's pausing, he's pausing, he's pausing. And finally, he simply says, "So if the surgeon messes up, the patient won't know who did it?" Different take on things. And it's not just in the house, it's out of the house. You know, they will gladly embarrass you in public. Blake, who up there has his blankie right now, the guy with the cast, he has had something of a thumb-sucking issue. We've not been able to get him to kick the habit. He's fought the habit, fought the habit, fought the habit, and Jenny has tried to reason with him. She's tried to threaten him. She has tried to bribe him. She tried the lemon juice number where you paint it on the thumb. Nothing was working, and so finally she decides, "I'm just going to scare the little fellow." She says, "If you keep sucking your thumb like this, what can happen is you can actually suck oxygen down into your stomach. It can blow it up like a balloon. That balloon can pop, and if it doesn't hurt you, it might well kill you." The little guy buys in for a little while. His eyes are up like quarters, and yet, lo and behold, we end up at a political event that night. We're there on the front line of chairs. Who should be seated right beside us but a woman who must have been 8 months, 15 days pregnant? And you can see this little guy's computer working. And he's looking over, you can just see him, he's looking over at this very pregnant lady and looking back up at his mom. And then looking over at the very pregnant lady and then looking back up at his mom. And finally, he can't stand any longer, and he leans over to the very pregnant lady and says, "Oh, I see your stomach. We know what you've been up to." These guys are out of control. And so it is with the Corps, both male and female that you might be. You know, one other little story, and I won't bore you because I could spend all day telling stories about these boys, but, you know, Bolton, again, he's our troublemaking third guy. He had a birthday party, this is a while back, and it was just when we'd moved first up to Columbia. And for a while they played constructive games, kickball, soccer, football, etc. But by the end of the evening of the little birthday party, they had segregated into the constructive playing group and the destructive playing group. He was naturally in the destructive playing group. And they'd gone into the little pool house and had pulled out these plastic buckets that we'd brought up from Sullivan's Island. You know, the kind you get at Walmart or Kmart, they're green, blue, purple, you pick the color, but they're little plastic beach pails. And they were taking turns pulling them down over their head and taking turns running into a brick wall. And they thought that was a good time. I mean, they were actually enjoying it. That was their idea of entertainment. And with that story, it really struck me that the appropriate thing to talk about is not boys, but buckets. And my simple graduation message to each one of you members of the class of 2004 is don't go through life wearing a plastic bucket over your head. Sounds pretty easy. But what you'll find in life as you experience life is that probably 80% of the folks out there pull plastic buckets down over your head. And you know what you can see if you got a plastic bucket down over your head? Just your feet. Can't see in front of you, can't see behind you, can't see to the sides, and with that perspective, you can't lead. And the crisis of our time is not in terrorism. It's not in energy. It's not in education. The crisis of our time is in leadership. The reason that I came here today is to beg each one of you to choose to become leaders. Because in every great crisis, in every nonprofit boardroom, in every corporate boardroom, in every military endeavor, people look to leadership. Leadership is needed. I don't know, how many of y'all remember where you guys were and you gals were 9/11? Show of hands, how many remember? I bet it's not at all unlike the rest of this audience. I can remember exactly where I was 9/11. I was in Greenwood, South Carolina, about to speak to the Rotary Club, and my sister called, and she said a plane just ran into the World Trade Center. And I'm imagining a little single-engine plane running in to the side of the World Trade Center, but as you begin to learn more and the facts begin to unravel, what you saw was a very different situation. And you know what I asked? I asked, what does all this mean, and where do we go from here? And in every crisis, now and for the next 1,000 years, those will be the questions asked. And you know who answers those questions? Leaders. People in times of crisis look to leaders. So my simple challenge to you, the class of 2004, is to elect, to choose, to be leaders in whatever it is that you choose to do. If you're willing to accept my challenge, I have just a couple of thoughts for you. First of all, live your dream. How many of y'all saw the movie Rudy? For those of you who didn't, go see it. It's a great story. It's a true story about Rudy Rudiger, who was a student at Notre Dame, at best a very poor student, and at best a horrible athlete. But he had this dream nonetheless of playing for Notre Dame, and he was absolutely undeterred in that dream, so much so that by the end of his senior year, final game against Georgia Tech, 1975, coach puts him in for just a couple minutes at the end of the game. Miraculously, he actually sacks the quarterback of the opposing team, and he's carried out on the shoulders of his teammates because of the way that he lived his dream. I would ask each one of you to look to your left and to look to your right, and to know that whoever is to your left and whoever is to your right has a very different dream. And one of the keys to life is not following their dream, but following your dream. You're on, in essence, sort of a secret agent mission. Part of life's challenge is figuring out what that dream is for you, but then focusing on it once it's come your way. And if you look, what you'll find is that people who have achieved greatness, people who have actually led in the course of human endeavor, have been people willing to march to their own drumbeat. Because if you look at the time that Ted Turner created CNN, it was not the conventional wisdom that there'd be any kind of market for 24-hour television. If you look at the time that the Wright brothers went out into the sand dunes in North Carolina and had a mixture of cloth and metal and wood, it was not the conventional wisdom that that thing would fly. And you look at the time that Judge Matthew Perry or Joe Shine challenged some long-held assumptions, it was not the conventional wisdom that things would go the way that they believed. If you look at MacArthur in Korea, it was not the conventional wisdom that an amphibious landing on Incheon would work. And yet every one of those folks held true to their dreams and in the process led. And I beg of you to follow your dreams. Because if you don't, you will come back to this place for a reunion 25 years from now, and one of you will say to the other, you know, I always wanted to be a cowboy, but my mom or my dad or my grandmom or my aunt or my uncle wanted me to be a dentist, and so I became a dentist, and there is nothing wrong with becoming a dentist as long as that's your dream. But if it's not your dream, you will never be a leader because you're not following your heart on what you really want to do in life. Two, I'd say focus on that dream. I don't know how many of y'all have seen the movie Remember the Titans, but in it, Denzel Washington plays Coach Herman Boone, which is, again, a true story, early 1970s, Alexandria, Virginia, integrated school, nobody happy, nobody able to get along, and yet he is undeterred in his dream that folks would get along and that they'd produce a great football team. Long story short is they go 13-0, win the state championship because Coach Herman Boone was undeterred in his dream. I would recommend to you all John Maxwell's book, Thinking for a Change, 11 Ways That Highly Successful People Approach Life and Work. In it, he quotes Emerson, wherein he says, concentration is the secret of strength in politics, in war, in trade, in short, in all management of human affairs. I think it's very interesting in that chapter. They quote David Belasco, who says, if you can't reduce your idea to the back of my business card, you've not yet focused on your idea. And if you stop and think about it, the Boy Scouts, you may agree or you may disagree with what they're about, but you know what they're about. The Marine Corps, you may agree or you may disagree with what they're about, but you know what they're about. FedEx, you may agree or you may disagree, but you know what they're about. McDonald's, you may agree or you may disagree, but you know what they're about. In every instance, if you want to break through, you have absolutely got to focus on what you're about. Third, I'd say commit your course to paper. The Founding Fathers didn't get together and say, let's put together a country, what do you all think? They actually committed it to paper in the form of a Declaration of Independence, a Constitution, a Bill of Rights. And any idea in terms of your life that's worth pursuing, I'd ask every one of you to commit it to paper. In business world, they have a thing called a business plan. Not a business idea. Ideas are a dime a dozen, but it's committed to paper in the form of a business plan. In the military, there's a thing called a 5-paragraph order, or depending on the branch, something that's basically the equivalent wherein you reduce your ideas in war planning to writing. In fact, if you read Stephen Ambrose's book, D-Day, what's interesting about D-Day and Operation Overlord are the amount of time that actually went into written plans. And in fact, I'd go so far as to say, if you want to talk about areas of your life that are ultimately important to you, one of the things that will bring you either the most happiness or, frankly, the most misery is how things are going on the home front. And if your family matters to you, I'd go so far, and my wife thinks I'm psychotic on this front, but I'd go so far as to writing a family constitution. What is your family about? What are the values by which you all want to interact with each other and the rest of the world? Those are things that I'd commit to paper. 4, I'd say, live the Army creed of be all that you can be. The Bible chapter that I particularly like on this front is Matthew 25:14-25. If you look in there, what you'd find is the story of the talents. The master leaves, and he leaves his talents with 3 servants. To one he gives 5 talents, to another he gives 2, and to yet another he gives 1 talent. And he comes back at the end of the trip, and the one with 5 talents had gone out and made another 5. The one with 2 had gone out and doubled it and made another 2. The one with 1 had very carefully buried it in the backyard to make sure that it would not get lost and returned it to the master. And yet, the one that the master is upset with is not the one with 5 or the one with 2, which is kind of odd because they had more to start with. He's upset with the one with 1. Because he made nothing of it. People in life are going to have more than you do, they're going to have less than you do, but what you will be evaluated on at the end of your life is what you do with what you have. Say 5, be persistent. Calvin Coolidge quotes, I have always loved. It says, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not, nothing's more common than unsuccessful men with talent. It goes on to say other things, but the point of the whole quote is be persistent. And then finally, I'd simply follow up on the remarks of Cadet Hyatt and what the Sullivan Award is all about, and that is have a course that includes others. I would go so far as to say that a life about yourself is ultimately a meaningless life. Let me say that again. A life about yourself is ultimately a meaningless life. And if you want to go one step further beyond meeting to this notion of leadership, you have got to serve a purpose that's bigger than yourself. You have to be a servant. And you could say that in a lot of different ways. Rich Warren wrote a book called The Purpose-Driven Life, and the first sentence of that book says it's not about you. It's going to take some of you all a number of years to figure that out. Some of you have already figured it out. Some of you will never figure it out. But it is important that you focus on this notion of serving others and living in a realm that's bigger than your own realm. Jim Collins wrote a book called Good to Great, Why Some Companies Make the Leap and Others Don't. And he focuses on what he calls level 5 leaders who are enabled to channel their own needs into the channel, frankly, into that of the company. And I would just beg of you, pick something in life that's bigger than you are. I would say the one story that I have always liked on that front is the story of Sir Ernest Shackleton. I don't know how many of y'all have heard that story, but it's a wonderful story about serving others and about persistence. Sir Ernest Shackleton left August 8, 1914, Plymouth, England, with 27 other sailors in a little sailing ship called the Polaris. He renames it the HMS Endurance on their voyage south after their family motto, which was "By endurance we conquer." Their last stop is South Georgia Island, which was a forgotten outpost of the British Empire. They take on provisions there. They sail some 1,200 miles south down to the edge of Antarctica, and they're only a day's sail from the continent, and they become stuck in the ice. And this sets in motion a 2-year struggle for survival wherein not one of them should have survived, but every one of them did because of the way that Shackleton stayed true to this notion of serving others. They stuck for 10 months on the boat. Ultimately, the ice crushes and sinks the boat. They try and walk 400 miles out to Paulet Island. They're unsuccessful in that. They come back. They survive through the winter on a diet of seal and penguin and the dogs of their own dog teams. When the spring comes and the ice begins to break up, they gather up the 3 lifeboats and they set sail for a little sliver of land called Elephant Island. The good news is that they actually make it. They make dry land. The bad news is no one will ever find them there. Shackleton says not a problem. He picks his 5 strongest sailors, gets in the largest of the lifeboats, the James Card, sails, or attempts to sail, back to South Georgia Island. A miracle sail if he pulled it off. Long story, he makes it. The good news is they make South Georgia Island. The bad news is they made the uninhabited side of the island, and there's not enough life left in that lifeboat to make it around to the other side of the island. He says no problem, picks his 3 strongest sailors, and they climb the 10,000-foot mountain range that divides the island. About 2 weeks later, come down on the other side of the island, scare the bejesus out of a number of school kids who see these guys walking to town. These are folks that have not shaved or showered in 2 years. He then procures a boat, makes 4 attempts, and on the 4th attempt is able to bring back every one of the other sailors. And I think the most telling of what was said by another crewmate who said simply this: Shackleton's popularity among those he led was due to the fact that he was not the sort of man who could only do big and spectacular things. When occasion demanded, he would attend personally to the smallest details, and he had unending patience and persistence, which he would apply to all matters concerning the welfare of his men. Shackleton believed that quite ordinary men were capable of heroic feats if the circumstances required. For him, the weak and the strong must survive together. I think he was right. And I think that if you do these things, if you live your dream, you focus on that dream, you commit it to paper, you live the Army notion of being all that you can be, if you're persistent and you serve others, you'll be a leader. You'll make a difference. It will matter that you lived. Every one of us look forward to your future successes. Godspeed.
Citadel takes great pride in the contribution of graduates in the military. Citadel alumni have distinguished themselves in combat in every major conflict from the Civil War to the present day. This year it is my distinct privilege and honor to administer the oath of office to the men and women of the class of 2004 who are joining the military. By taking this oath, these young men and women are launching a career devoted to serving their nation. The gold bar they will wear as either a second lieutenant or an ensign is symbolic of the trust their country has placed in them. They entered the Citadel grounds 4 years ago as nervous young fourth-classmen. Today they emerge as confident leaders, capable of meeting any challenge and solving any problem. The lessons they have learned here will form the basis for all the decisions they will make, and they will be better leaders as a result. And it's now my honor to administer this oath of office to the newest Citadel graduates to serve their country. I'd like to ask all candidates to be commissioned to please rise. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your full name, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations. You may be seated.
Now, will Cadet Patrick Riley, first honor graduate, please come forward.
Patrick Colin Riley, first honor graduate, summa cum laude, honors program participant. Terry Allen Fellows, Jr., Marine Corps commissionee. Richard Denzel Harper, cum laude, Marine Corps commissionee. Freddie A. Morales, cum laude, Marine Corps commissionee. Jeffrey Thomas Newton, Marine Corps commissionee. Matthew Blair Rogers, magna cum laude, Marine Corps commissionee. Adrian Ernest Ibarra, Marine Corps commissionee. James Scott Ackerman, Navy commissionee. Joseph Roscoe Adams. Bradley Raymond Allah. Isa Hassan Altaneji. Jason Roger Atwell. Aaron Michael Ayers, Air Force commissionee. Brody Travis Babb. Ryan Christopher Bachman, cum laude, Air Force commissionee. Frank Christopher Baez, Army commissionee. Brendan James Balistreri. David James Ball, Army commissionee. Josiah Keith Barker, cum laude, Navy commissionee. Chad Edward Barnett. Jordan Russ Barnett, Marine Corps commissionee. George Joseph Barone III. John David Barrett, Air Force commissionee. Peter Leslie Barrett, Marine Corps commissionee. Anthony Bartolini. Jordan Liston Bass. Wade Thomas Batson IV. Joel Ryan Baublitz. Jennifer Ashley Baxley. Andrew Frederick Binko III. Evan Walter Belansky, who will receive his diploma from his father. Jonathan Martin Black, magna cum laude. John C. Elizabeth Bohasic. John Christian Boren II. Nikolai Pokoluch, magna cum laude. Lamont McLaughlin Bowles, who will receive his diploma from his father. Diane Victoria Bolick, magna cum laude, honors program participant. Michael Joseph Boatner. Hoyle Edgar Bowman III. Adam Thomas Boyce, cum laude. Kyle Austin Bozard, Marine Corps commissionee. Dominic D. Braccio III, magna cum laude. Jeffrey John Breinig. Daniel Briones. Johnny Walter Brown III. Stanley Carlton Brown Jr., Air Force commissionee. Desiree Diane Browning. Eric Austin Buchanan. Robert Michael Burnham III. Justin Adam Bychek. Michael Christopher Cahill. Thomas Patrick Caldwell. Joseph Frank Calori. David Anthony Camp, Navy commissionee. Michael Jack Campbell, cum laude, Air Force commissionee. Suzanne Reed Campbell, magna cum laude, who will receive her diploma from her father. Raim Burley Cannon, Jr. Christopher Tan Carr, Air Force commissionee. Marilyn F. Castro Perez. Harry E. Chafee IV. Philip John Chandler, Air Force commissionee. Mankin Chagawa, Jr. David Corey Christensen. Robert Preston Clark, Jr., cum laude, Army commissionee. William Edward Clark III. Brian Patrick Clayton. William Keith Clifton, cum laude. David Meade Cochran, Army commissionee. Michael Edmund Coe, who will receive his diploma from his father. Richard Blair Cogburn. Marcus Toy Cohen, Army commissionee. David Joseph Coyson, Jr., who will receive his diploma from his father. Brantley Warren Cope. David Finley Corbin, Jr., who will receive his diploma from his father. Victor Manuel Cotto, III, Navy Commissionee. Bart Cameron Corsi, Navy Commissionee. Christopher Allen Cox. Stephen Eric Kramer, Navy Commissionee. Roger Dale Kreider, Jr. Harry Emmanuel Comer, III, Army Commissionee. Jason Gabriel Crosby, magna cum laude, Air Force Commissionee. Jeffrey Jerome Cunningham, Jr., Honors Program participant. Paul Williams Curley, Jr., who will receive his diploma from his father. Michael Sean Dalrymple, magna cum laude, Navy Commissionee. Jonathan Scott D'Angelo, cum laude. Philip Matthew Dantes. Gordon McGraw Darby IV. Jacoby Michael Davis, Air Force Commissionee. James Richard Davis. Alfred Gilchrist Dawson, Jr., cum laude, who will receive his diploma from his father. William Jordan Decker. Christopher Michael Delisle. David Maine Deloach. Gus Peter Gus Demetriades II. Samuel Alexander Denton, cum laude. Roy Tucker Dieter, who will receive his diploma from his father. Robert Edward Dillon III. Jonathan Earl Doran, Army Commissionee. Peter Allen Driscoll II. Owen Clark Durham, Army Commissionee. Matthew Warren Durling. Charles William Dye III, Air Force Commissionee. Matthew Robert Iden, who will receive his diploma from his father. Rashid Abdullah Malik Ellis. Edward Taylor England, Army Commissionee. Katrina Lynn Evans, Air Force Commissionee. John Patrick Exum, Jr. Joshua Lee Hawley. Ricky Lind Phelps. Ian Campbell Felty. Jonathan Lyle Philman. Aaron LaRon Fitzgerald. Gary Owen Flanders, Army Commissionee. Patrick Weldon Fleming, Army Commissionee. Stephen Andrew Fletcher, Air Force Commissionee. Ricardo Salva Cruz Flores, Jr., magna cum laude, Marine Corps Commissionee. Ryan Booth Floyd, Army Commissionee. Daniel Patrick Flynn, Army Commissionee. David Michael Forbes, Army Commissionee. Justin Allen Foster. Jared Austin Fralix. Warren Andrew Frank, Marine Corps Commissionee. Christopher Gregory Franklin. Russell Edward Frierson. Samuel Augustine Fuller. Bo Haney Gailey, Army Commissionee. Justin Brian Gainey. Andrew Lloyd Giglieri. Mark Edward Guerra. Tyler Dean Goins. Davis Branham Gooding III, Marine Corps Commissionee. Nicholas Dustin Goshen, magna cum laude, Army Commissionee. Robert Kenneth Gothridge, cum laude. Travis Nathan Graham. Robert Warren Gramling, Air Force Commissionee. Timothy Edmund Grantonic, Army Commissionee. George Arnett Gray IV, who will receive his diploma from his father. Andrew James Greenlees, Navy Commissionee. Jayander Singh Grewal, Army Commissionee. Tanika Louise Griffith. Garrison Daniel Grove, magna cum laude, Army Commissionee. Clint Lawrence Goudan, Jr. Paul Leighton Guerin. Scott Russ Harefield. Brandon Carson Hall, cum laude. Brandon John Hall. Jason Derek Hall, cum laude. Ryan Preston Hall, magna cum laude, Air Force Commissionee. Joseph Kang-Woo Han, Marine Corps Commissionee. Christopher Blair Hardin. Justin Paul Hardin. Kyle Aaron Harms. Elizabeth Ann Harris, Navy Commissionee. Franklin Michael Harris. Brian Francis Hatfield III. Rosemarie Hygieson Hayag. Sean Arthur Haynham, summa cum laude, Army Commissionee. Ryan Eugene Head. Charles Heller, who will receive his diploma from his father. David Corey Henley. Brandon Shiro Higashi. Richard Robert Hillman. Vincent Stomu Harai. Kyle Wesley Hiscott, Navy Commissionee. Lindsay Aaron Hodge. Ronald Travis Hodge. Jeffrey Joseph Hurl, Jr., Honors Program participant. Gregory Morris Holden, Jr., Army Commissionee. Patrick Hamilton Holland. Nicholas Scott Holum. David Lane Huddleston, Jr. Christopher Terry Hudson. Michael Roy Hoffman Hudson, Army Commissionee. Jonathan Adams Ulecki. Robert Connor Humphrey. Stephen Terry Hungerford, cum laude, who will receive his diploma from his father. John Gregory Hyatt. Justin Lee Infinger. John Anthony Ingham. Aaron Iuseri, summa cum laude. Anthony Martin James. Mark Christian Jervy. Lemuel Brad Jimerson. Peter Ryan Jodko, Army Commissionee. Alvin Thomas Johnson, Jr. James Anthony Johnson, III. Jamie Ross Johnson, Air Force Commissionee. Edmund Rhodes Jordan, Jr. Patrick James McDonald Jordan. Jermaine Dwayne Joyner, cum laude. Marina Yurchik. Keith Michael Kakmar, Army Commissionee. Joseph Michael Kaminsky, Army Commissionee. Timothy Winston Carricker, Jr., Air Force Commissionee. Matthew Allen Kaskowitz. Justin Allen Katko, Air Force Commissionee. Julian Earl Keaton II. Mabadi Papuz Keita. James Aaron Kennedy, cum laude, Navy Commissionee. James Maximilian Kinnerk. Sean James Kilcoyne. Robert Britt Killian, Jr., Army Commissionee. Zachary Charles Kimball. Anthony Reed Kimbrough, Army Commissionee. Brian Douglas King. Eric Gregory Kirsch, Marine Corps Commissionee. Zachary Kittover. Jared Spencer Cole, who will receive his diploma from his father. Navreet Coley. Douglas Daniel Kornacki. Andrew Barney Coons. Michael Gregory Kowalski, Marine Corps Commissionee. Andrew Cobb Purcell, Air Force Commissionee. Jonathan Garland Lance, Navy Commissionee. Drayton Joseph Landry, cum laude, Air Force Commissionee. Joseph Frederick Larned. Brandon Matthew Lasky, Navy Commissionee. Keith Garrett Laws. Timothy William Lawson, magna cum laude, Air Force Commissionee. Joseph Morgan Lee. Alex Slate Lee. Antonio Edward Leone. Thomas Charles Lewis. Thomas Gabriel Lopez. Derek Amon S. Love. Maxie Clinton Lynn III, Navy Commissionee. William Hamilton Lyon, who will receive his diploma from his father. Adriano Francesco Massarola, magna cum laude, honors program participant. Robert Henry Manos, Jr. Scott Christian Martin, Navy Commissionee. Rufus Franklin Marie. James Durant Massey III, Navy Commissionee. Jason Ivan Matthews. James Hayward Maddox III. Craig Andrew Maxey. Mills David Maxwell, who will receive his diploma from his father. Matthew Ryan Mayer, Air Force Commissionee. Andrew Jordan McClan. Freddie Eugene McDaniel II, cum laude. Fitzlee Howard McCann. Bain Park McMillan. Michael Joseph McPherson. Stephen Aaron Meadows, Air Force Commissionee. Philip Thomas Medico III, magna cum laude. Benjamin Matthew Mintel. Kevin John Melby. Sean Albert Merritt, Army Commissionee, who will receive his diploma from his father. Chad Houston Miller. Stephen Jeffries Miller, who will receive his diploma from his father. Curtis Thomas Minor, Army Commissionee. Mark Dagan Mazel, magna cum laude, Air Force Commissionee. Brian John Maroney, Jr. Stanley Joseph Mosser. Stephen Mark Mounts. Matthew David Malutzi, magna cum laude, Army Commissionee. Lydia Christina Murillo. William Edwin Myrick IV, who will receive his diploma from his father. Lee T. Nguyen, Air Force Commissionee. Tin Trung Nguyen, cum laude. Andrew DeGarris Nicholson, who will receive his diploma from his father. Michael Craig Nichol. Lonnie Gray Nipper II, Army Commissionee. Andrew Stephen Norris. Philip Charles Obie II. Javier Andre Ochoa. Kevin Michael O'Donnell, Marine Corps Commissionee. Gregory Alexander Olsheway. Ali Israel Orozco. Brian Edward Owens. Adam Hewitt Padgett. Brett Allen Paduch, summa cum laude. Jeffrey Edward Parks. Varun Yagdish Patel, Army Commissionee. James Pete Patton. Dennis Jacob Peters. Jonathan Michael Pereira. Adam Frederick Perlin, Marine Corps Commissionee. Justin Michael Pesterfield. Alan Keene Phillips, cum laude, honors program participant. John Andrew Phillips. Victor Alfredo Pimentel. Robert Neil Penson, who will receive his diploma from his father. Llewellyn Sean Piper, Army Commissionee, who will receive his diploma from his father. Ronald Mantilla Paramity, Navy Commissionee. Jason Allen Pittman. David Allen Plunkett, Army Commissionee. Richard Thomas Porter. Corey James Potemra. Eric Howard Potter. Nathan Conan Potter, Navy Commissionee. David Ryan Pratt, cum laude, Air Force Commissionee. Alexander Omar Prince. Ivan Puhalo. Andrew Joseph Quavillan, Air Force Commissionee. Timothy Ryan Quinlan. Thomas Rahelski. Bradford Levitt Rankin. Stephen Michael Rousa, Air Force Commissionee. Justin Lee Rauschenberg, Army Commissionee. Ryan Davis Rawl. Kenneth Maynard Reed, Jr., Army Commissionee. Thomas Hunt Reed, cum laude. Wasuta Remajon. Kirk Daniel Rhodes. Bradley Daniel Richardson. Kenton Paul Richardson, cum laude. Eric John Clinton Ricketson, Army Commissionee, Honors Program participant. Brian Edward Riddle, Army Commissionee. Michael Joseph Reardon. Jason Matthew Robertson. Ernest Adolph Rodenberg IV, who will receive his diploma from his father. Michael Walter Roeder. Rose Francis Rodriguez. John Mikhailich Rodzianko. Jack Colby Rogers. Anthony James Rose, Jr. James Douglas Rose. Matthew Carl Rowell. Brandon Kyle Rowland. Gentry Bello Rush, summa cum laude. Randian Tanith Ryans. Richard Donald Salmon, Army Commissionee. Aaron Patrick Sand, Air Force Commissionee. Philip David Schneider, Army Commissionee. James Michael Schneiderman, cum laude. Michael James Shrinker. Christopher Lee Scott, Air Force Commissionee. John Robert Seal II. James Linville Center, magna cum laude. Kristen Denise Setliff, Air Force Commissionee. Jonathan Michael Sharp. Brian Henderson Sheehan, Air Force Commissionee. Christopher Stephen Schillinglaw. Matthew David Shirley, Army Commissionee. Jamie Scott Shoemaker. Jeremy Daniel Shute, Army Commissionee. Eric William Silito. Marvin Levon Skipper, Jr. William Curtis Small. Terry Magdalene Smart, Air Force Commissionee. Christopher Ledbetter Smith, who will receive his diploma from his father. Gregory Lewis Smith, Army Commissionee. Matthew Calvin Smith. Nicholas Andrew Smith. Christopher Ryan Sneed. Philip Ryan Spence. Jamie Raya Spencer. Davarine Spelgen. Jeremiah Keith Stafford. Timothy John Stanley. Conrad Sands Staten. John Bartholomew Stevens, Army Commissionee. Keith Allen Stillwell, Air Force Commissionee. Nathan Denton St. John. Peter John Stoja. Adam Frederick Storms. Matthew Robert Stubbs, Army Commissionee. Brian Claren Studebaker, Air Force Commissionee. Robert Paul Stuntz III, who will receive his diploma from his father. Eric Joseph Salser, magna cum laude, honors program participant, Air Force Commissionee. James Albert Sumler, Marine Corps Commissionee, who will receive his diploma from his father. George Albert Taylor, magna cum laude, Air Force Commissionee, who will receive his diploma from his father. Michael Joseph Taylor, Air Force Commissionee. Travis James Taylor, Army Commissionee. Michael Ryan Terrio, magna cum laude, Navy Commissionee. John Christopher Thomas. Frank Litton Tingley III, cum laude. Joseph Anthony Tokar, Air Force Commissionee. John William Torsha III. Derek Augustin Torres. Michael Andrew Toth Jr., cum laude. Todd Michael Trago, Navy Commissionee. Joshua Cruz Twyman. Joshua Richard Underwood, magna cum laude. Peter Marvin Valaket. Robert Brady Vanoy. James Christopher Lee Varney. Justin Elliott Beers. Wesley Allen Vickers. Sean William Voda, magna cum laude, Marine Corps Commissionee. Brian Albert Boyer, cum laude. Richard Clark Waldrop. Trent Joseph Walker, Navy Commissionee. Neil David Wall, magna cum laude, Air Force Commissionee. Joseph Edward Wallace III, who will receive his diploma from his father. Michael Dallas Watson. Christopher Riley Brunges Weatherby. Thomas Joseph Welch. Thomas Harry Welch, Jr., Marine Corps Commissionee. Christopher Scott Wareham. James Brett Wheeler, magna cum laude. Alfred Marcus White, IV. Lindsay Francis Whitaker. Mark Hyatt Wilcox. Brian Lanier Williams. Donald Robert Williams, Jr. John Robert Williams, magna cum laude. Clinton Ward Wilson. Eric Carroll Wilson. Erica Lee Wood, magna cum laude, honors program participant. Christopher Wayne Zorro, Jr., Marine Corps Commissionee. Jacob Earl Ziegler. Travis Lee Zobel, who will receive his diploma from his father.
On this day, on 2004, as this commencement comes to a close, I just want to thank the fathers behind me. Thank y'all for presenting your diplomas to your son or daughter. Thank you for the faculty and staff for being behind us all 4 years. Thank you, family and friends, for coming out, supporting us, encouraging us. I'd like to give a special thanks to my dad, class of 80. He's been struggling a couple years, and this means a lot to me that he came up here and presented me my diploma. And I thank my mom, Cheryl, and Allison, my sister. I thank y'all so much. Being commissioned into their military branch and will depart after this, I wish y'all the best. You'll be in my thoughts and prayers always. To those going into the workforce, I wish y'all success in all your endeavors. To the members of Charlie Company, we'll be forever casual, and God bless class of 2004. Thank you.
Of important business. It's my pleasure now to call upon the President of the Citadel Alumni Association, Mr. William C. Mills, class of 1971, to initiate the class of 2004 into the ranks of the Long Gray Line. Mr. Mills.
Congratulations. On behalf of over 20,000 alumni before you who are spread all over this world, we give you our best and welcome you into the Citadel's Long Gray Line. We have but one brief and one-point message for you, and it comes from the Book of All Wisdom, specifically the second verse of the 48th verse, second sentence of the 48th verse, 12th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Luke. And I want to read it to you. For everyone to whom much is given, from him much is required, and to him much has been committed. Of him they will ask more. And that's your legacy. You've been given more here at the Citadel than peers throughout the world. And we who have come before you expect you to be faithful stewards of what you've inherited. That parable, by the way, is the parable of the faithful steward. So now it's my pleasure on behalf of all those before you to ask you to remove your citadel rings and turn them around so that your 04 will face the world proudly, and the world will know that you are faithful stewards and proud wearers of the ring. God bless you, the Citadel, the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be no recessional. However, there remains one final event before we conclude our ceremony. It is now my honor and pleasure to issue one final general order for this academic year. Class of 2004, dismissed.